what can I say? Pat yourselves on the back, boys, because I told you this is gonna happen. Even the old generation of consoles is gonna cost around 1K, if not 1K plus as time passes. And there is literally no world where the new consoles from PlayStation and Xbox do not cost at least 1.5K a pop. And because of that, obviously, the Steam machine, even if it costs 1K, is gonna still win, and it's gonna win big. And now we have official confirmation that even the old PlayStation 5s are gonna cost 900. It's not 1K yet, but it's not gonna get better anytime soon. It's gonna get, in fact, more expensive because nothing's really changing currently. So it is. It's as bad as it gets, boys.
The video game industry is changing very quickly. We are seeing mass layoffs. We are seeing mass project cancellation.
I love layoffs. I love project cancellation. These are my favorite things, honestly.
And an all-time high of company greed. And now we're finding out that the suggested retail prices of the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro, and PlayStation Portal are going to be skyrocketing, and gamers are furious. I have a few different things to show off, but
This is actually hilarious considering we know how little PlayStation matters. Also, we pretty much have confirmation that PlayStation's move to exclusivity once again is just literally desperation, which is funny considering Microsoft gave up on the console war and declared that PlayStation won, which means that Xbox behind the scenes is even worse than PlayStation, and yet PlayStation pretty much have effectively admitted by their financial actions that their situation is really bad already. And we see proof of this everywhere. Everywhere. How many games have dropped now? For example, Crimson Desert and whatnot that... Oh, no, Marathon. Marathon literally is owned by Sony, by the way, if you did not know. And Marathon has 70% of players playing on Steam. PlayStation is at second position with 19%. And that Xbox gets like 10 or something, and then the rest, or if that even exists. And that's the same for every game, by the way. The PlayStation and Xbox sales are dwindling. They're bad. And one of the reasons why they are bad is because no one wants to buy a loser. Everyone can see that it doesn't matter how much legacy media lies about it, how much they pretend that Steam is not the greatest thing in gaming. It is, and we know it, and everyone knows it. They can't lie their way out of it. And no one wants to be on the side of the losers. No one wants to buy a PlayStation to not have any friends to play with. No one wants to buy a PlayStation or Xbox because it has the best things. No, everyone knows that PlayStation and Xbox are losing. So, just buy on Steam.
Before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, when it comes
Like the video right now. It takes less than a second. Thank you. I love everyone who does it. Very, very much appreciated.
to price hikes, I understand that we are facing a lot of problems economically around the world right now. We are talking about things like tariffs. We are talking about things like shortages. In the case of the video game industry, one that has been very prominent that people have been bringing up is RAM, even though we also have to get into things like storage and whatnot. But we are also talking about a time where companies will nickel and dime their customers for all they are worth. So instead of raising something by, let's say, $30 or $50, well, they might raise it by 80 or 100, or in extreme cases, several.
I better watch my video. This is what I said about tariffs. The problem with tariffs is not the fact that importing costs $10 more and you get charged $10 more now for the thing that you buy. No, it's the fact that every single corporation on the world will charge you $20 or $30 for the $10 extra that they need to pay. That's how these things work. Never miss an opportunity.
$100. We are talking, in this case, about the largest company in the video game industry. They make the most money. That they are followed closely by Tencent, and then Xbox slash Microsoft follows Tencent closely, but Sony is number one. So you'd think that they'd have their sort of ducks in a row, but that is not the case. So now we are hearing that the PS5, PS5 Pro, and PlayStation Portal will receive price increases on April 2nd, and this has infuriated so many people. So for the United
By the way, this is probably exactly what I'm speaking about. Look at this. This is a 100 $100 increase. This is the same. But the Pro, for some reason, is 150. Now, what is the difference between these things? Probably not $50. It's probably 100 everywhere, but considering it's the Pro and it sounds fancy, I mean, make it 150, you know what I'm saying? This is pure greed.
States, the PS5 is going from $549 to $649, so a $100 increase. The PS5 Digital is going from $499 to $599. The PS5 Pro is going from $749 to $899, so a $150 increase. And then the PS Portal is going from $199 to $249. And it is extremely important to point out the fact that we have already seen a price increase. This was back in August 2025, but the PlayStation 5 was priced at $499. The digital version was at $449, and the PS5 Pro ran at $699. So we are talking about several $100 increases over the past few months, and they simply say that it is because of economic strain. They don't want to give any specifics. Again, we all know what's happening right now with hardware shortages. Things like RAM are extremely expensive and hard to come by. We are talking about a time where even subscription services are going up, and tariffs
Subscription services were going up before this.
have to do with this, but this doesn't mean that you are going to get people on your side, because during a time of economic struggle, that means that people are also struggling to buy hardware, even buy software, pay their bills. So you can't convince people to spend $900 on a console. And I have a PlayStation 5 Pro. Sure, I need it for my job, but if I was an average consumer and I didn't have this job and I didn't have a console, there's no way in hell I would be paying $900 for a console that basically has no games. I'm just going to keep it a buck. And I use my PlayStation 5 far more than I use my Xbox. But yeah, these prices are outrageous. And we also know that the Japanese only digital PS5 is going to remain at 55,000 yen in Japan, but the standard PS5 will now cost almost 100,000 yen, which is almost double as much as the PS5 cost at launch. These are insane times. It used to be that, oh, hardware would come out and it would get cheaper as time went on, but now they're
Yeah. And by the way, imagine it has inverted at this point. And it's just gonna get worse and worse for consoles. Because I mean there's no reason for it to get better at this point.
there's no more cheap in terms of these consoles. They are expensive, very expensive, and even more expensive. And that is why this company is facing so much backlash right now. I don't know what's worse, the price hike or the fact that people are in here making excuses for Sony.
Isn't this AI? I think this is AI. Because I think this is supposed to be the gut, not the back. Yeah, I think it is because look, I think these are supposed to be pockets. Lamau.
And yeah, I am never going to sit here and defend a multi-billion-dollar company simply because they've made some games or consoles that I've liked in the past. I am a person that definitely judges companies by the now, and sure, sometimes they might have an extremely positive and sparkling and shining reputation, and I'll give them a little bit more leeway than I might their competition. But when it comes to these major companies like Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, none of them are good companies that just deserve your defense. Never buying a console again, greed like this turns people away. Also, the lack of games, and if they exist, they're Troon coded. And this is another issue entirely that, of course, I've talked about thousands of times on this channel. The state of the video games themselves are not even that good. We see the Concords coming out where they spend $500 million and then shut it down 2 weeks later. We're talking about
Beautiful.
games that focus on pushing agendas and developers who are really activists that want to push pronouns and propaganda into your work. They're worried about putting top surgery scar toggles instead of half decent puzzles in a game or fleshing out characters. Their priorities are way
That is a Dragon Age Veilguard reference.
out of whack. And so when you see the state of these individual video games and how poor they are, why would you even want to buy a console when these titles are in such a bad place? You could buy a PC and use it for many different things. You could get one console, but with these prices tacked on and the hundreds of extra dollars tacked on, it is extremely hard to sit here and say, yeah, it's a good deal, because it's just not. I can hear the cashier now. One PS5 Pro, one controller, two new games, 3 months of PlayStation card. That'd be $1,200. Yeah, for all of the people who were waiting to buy a console until Grand Theft Auto 6 came out, do definitely feel a bit bad for you, that's for sure. It seems like I'm sticking with my base PS5 for the long term, and I don't even know when we're going to get the next.
The long term doesn't mean anything in this case. That's the best part because Sony knows that a lot of people don't want to switch consoles. They have been pretty talkative about this fact, by the way. And Xbox has done the same, by the way. They understand that it's a massive problem that people are sticking with their old consoles too long. This is why new games are not backwards compatible. This is why a lot of things are not getting updated for one console. This is effectively self-sabotage in hopes to force people to buy the newest thing that's gonna become not new in a year, and then, rinse and repeat effectively. You know what's wild? There was a time when the console strategies made sense. We're gonna be Xbox, we're gonna sell consoles at a loss even. And then we're gonna get, people in through the door, they're gonna play our games, and they're gonna stick around, and they're gonna buy the Game Pass. That's completely financially unviable, by the way, still. Even more now, by the way. And that's how we're gonna do things. We just need to get customers in through the door, and that's how we make our money. But now, since the world has kept on turning, all of these console makers no longer seem to look at their consoles as a sunk cost fallacy. They're just looking at it and saying, "Oh, we need money sales in console sales." No longer as an investment into the future of their companies. And I think a lot of companies in general, outside of gaming and everything, are looking at every single thing as something that needs to make money. And everything is just the short term at this point. There is no more long term thinking, which previously led us to the golden generation of gaming and all of the things, all of the similar situations. Because now everything must make money, and it must make more money. So there's no compromise no longer between the makers of things and the consumers.
Consoles, because they had a schedule, but I think that all of those plans are now thrown way out of whack. And I don't necessarily care, especially if things are going to be this expensive. Now, we know that other companies have also raised their prices. We've seen the Netflix and the Hulus and the Disneys raise their subscriptions, but we know that Nintendo also had previously, back on August 3rd, 2025, announced these changes. The Switch Lite is now $229, previously $199. The OLED $399, previously $349. The Nintendo Switch $339, previously $299. And then you have the controllers, the dock sets, the alarms, the Joy-Con. So yeah, a lot has gone up. And I know that part of that is out of these companies' controls, but it just seems like they are pushing the limits as much as possible. They are trying to push it to a major extreme. And so then you have to balance, okay, I estimate that it would be X amount of money. So what are they also tacking on? And you sort of have to make that decision yourself. But it seems that a lot of gamers are saying they would make the decision to just stay away from these products. I think that this industry is going to continue to go through some major changes. I don't think these prices are going to go down anytime soon. I think we are going to continue to see subscription.
When are prices going down, though? Never. I have given up on the concept of a price is gonna go down. In the past 2 years, we have had something effectively like 8 instances of a complete another market meltdown possibility that got remedied by influxes of cash, regulation, and things like that. So, no, I don't think anything's changing anytime soon. And if I think things are going to be changing, well, you're not going to be worrying about the price of a fucking PlayStation. You're going to be worrying about more tangible things that achieve extremely high velocity in very short amounts of times. In any case, that was Mommy Vera Dark 10 out of 10. Bye.